Kia Bia, where you at? Where you at? Kia Bia.
That's me.
Kia Bia.
That's me.
Kia Bia.
Yeah, that's me. What's up, Kia Bia gang, and welcome back to Zakia Chanel podcast. I am your girl, Kia Bia, and we are here for another episode. So we have episode 8. We're almost there, guys. We're almost at least 10. So welcome back. Welcome to everyone that's new. Make sure that you subscribe to Zakia Chanel podcast. You can follow me on all of the streams. Also, you can follow me on my social media sites to get updated on when a new episode is coming out so that you can make sure that you stay tuned to all the episodes. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get straight to the episode so that y'all can see what we're talking about today, because I think I got a good topic for today. So first, as always, we're going to start with our praise break. And my praise break for this episode is I'm just grateful for my family. I just finished celebrating Memorial Day weekend, my sister's birthday, and just being around family. And I've always enjoyed those times because you're able to just sit back and just enjoy your loved ones, enjoy the time that you have with them. So that is my praise break, that I had a great Memorial Day weekend and being able to just be around my family and friends and everything. All right, so episode 8, the title for episode 8 is called What I Asked For versus What I Got. So if you don't know, on Instagram, everywhere, on social media, they always have these two pictures, and on one side it's what someone asked for. Say they want their hair to be a certain way, a little hairstyle, and then on the other side is versus what I got. And it's usually something that is not to the part of what they asked for. It looks totally different. Whoever did it did their own little swing to it. So it's always this is not what I asked for. This is what I asked for, and you gave me this. So I wanted to take a little swing with this and kind of change the way that we are going to see this whole meme of what I asked for versus what I got. All right, so where should I start? Oh my gosh. So have you ever feel okay, when you're younger, you're usually thinking about your future, who you're going to marry, what you're going to do with your life, what kind of job you're going to have, where you're going to stay at, what type of house, what type of car. You have all of these different dreams and aspirations of what you have and what you want for your life. And so one of the things, I was just sitting back, and I've been talking to a few people these past few weeks just about relationships and what they see in relationships, or if they are dating. Has it been what they asked for? Is it everything that they wanted? Is it different? And everything. I wanted to know the whole rundown. And so I realized that dang, y'all, we really do have a long list. Everybody has some type of list. Either it's in your head, you've written it down, but for sure for girls, I know that we all have some type of list of what we want in a guy, what we aspire our husband to be, or our significant other, our partner, whatever the case is, or what you want that other person to be like, or what you want to see in that person. And oftentimes it's this perfect person in a way in our eyes because it's everything that we want them to be. And then we get a glimpse of reality, and we realize wow, this is not exactly what's on my list. And so you get hit with that hard decision of, are you going to stick to your list, or are you going to change the way that you want things, the way of who you want that person to be? And so I don't know, have y'all ever played this game when you were younger, but I learned it in Girl Scouts. So I'm always the youngest of every group that I'm in most times. And so my friends and my troop for Girl Scout, we used to play this game called MASH. And so basically you will have the letters MASH at the top, and you will have different categories. And so one would be all the boys' names that you think that you're gonna marry, the different cars that you want, where you're gonna stay at, if you're gonna have a pet or not. So it's all different kind of categories, and you choose what categories you want, and then you write down the different things of like what's in each category, like how many kids I'm gonna have, everything like that. And so through the game, you basically are like going through a count and you are marking things off, like canceling them off your list based off of like whatever number you stopped at. So then at the end, you have only one left of each category and you circle it. And that's how you kind of find out what your future going to have, like who you end up marrying, how many kids that you're going to have, if you're going to live like in a house or apartment, where you're going to stay at, all of that. It shows all of it in the game. And so we used to find it like so fun, like, oh my gosh, like, am I really going to marry this person? Or is this really going to be like me? Am I going to really have this many kids? And so you have that type of list as in the game, or, you know, we have our real deal list of what we want. And as I'm getting older, I realized that life change. And, you know, yes, it's nice to have a list. It's nice to have the things that you want in your significant other and your partner of what you aspire them to be. And you have to sometimes think, okay, am I asking for too much? Because you don't want to dumb it down where it's like you're just going to go for whatever. That's not what I'm saying. Like, don't just be like, yeah, I'm just free. I'm going to go for whatever. But no, I think that you have to take a step back and you have to have some type of reality and realizing that this person might not have everything that's on my list. And what am I okay with them not having? What's not really that big of a deal? You know, it's simple as someone on their list saying that they want to marry a dark-skinned person other than a light-skinned person. Like, these are real deal things that people have on their list. And so if you end up liking a light-skinned person that you fall in love with, are you now not going to marry them because they're light-skinned and they're not dark-skinned, you know, or just different things? Maybe you say like, oh, I don't want somebody to have kids, and then you end up dating someone with a kid. Do you say, okay, I'm not going to date this person just because of that? Or are you like, okay, maybe I can give it a try? It could be simple as where they're staying at, or what car they're driving, or what type of job they have. All of these things are little things that we pay attention to that make us think of, okay, are we going to stick with this person or are we going to not? Are we going to just be like, I'm okay because this is not what's on my list? And the thing that I realized is that not just the list, but this connects to what I asked for versus what I got. We ask for so much. I'm speaking for girls now. Don't know what guys do because I don't be in those conversations like that. But I know for girls, we'll say everything that we think a guy should have, you know? Or, you know, I realized not even that long ago, maybe 4 years ago, the max. You know, we'll say, okay, I'm not dating this type of guy. I'm not going out with this type of person. And we'll say all these things. And then you come to realize, like, well, what are you bringing to the table? Because you're saying what you're not going to do, but are you bringing something to the table? Because if you're not bringing nothing to the table, then you have no real say in what you feel like you're not going to. I don't want to. Okay, I want to say it how I feel it, how it's coming out. Okay, so say for instance, I'm not dating somebody who that don't live by themselves right now, right? So we'll say that, but then reality hits, and we're now at that age where we now see, okay, this person might stay at home because of X, Y, and Z, or this person might not be having their own place because of another situation, whatever the situation is. And so you're like, are you just not going to date this person because they don't have their own place? Or are you going to hear out the reason of why they don't have their own place? And then you have to think like, okay, do you have your own place? Do you have your own car? You know, we want so much in a guy, like we want so much, but then we fail to look back and see what we are bringing to the table. And I think sometimes we have to humble ourselves and be like, okay, this is a thing called life that we all have to figure out. And sometimes we let our pride get the best of us, and we're not able to put our pride aside and humble ourselves to say, okay, I'm willing to give it a try, even though it's not everything that I asked or everything that I want it to be. And I think that that's something that we have to start to pay attention to, something that we need to start realizing, or being okay with it not being everything. And so that's the whole point of what I asked for and what I got. And here comes another thing. If it's not everything that you wanted, what are you willing to sacrifice? Because there are things that I'm not willing to sacrifice that are going to always be on my list. Then there's things that now, as I'm getting older, that I'm okay with maybe sacrificing or switching up, because I understand more than I did when I was younger. I see more now. I'm older. You have more knowledge, more wisdom than you did at a certain age. And so you were talking from that age. But now that you're someone older, is your thought process still a young child, or are you growing with your age? Because I think that that's something that we don't always do. We have a young child mentality to certain things or certain situations, and we're staying in what the past was, that we're not able to gain our wisdom and knowledge with our new age of what we should know now, or what we should be able to comprehend and understand and have compassion for. And so the one thing that I was going to say is that as we get older and we gain more knowledge and wisdom, I think that we have to have those conversations with ourselves of, what are we willing to lay down for what we want in our significant other, or in our partner? Are we okay with what it is, or are we not? And so, yeah, your future is really based off of you and what you decide. But what I really want to get across is that I want us to remember that we have to take a step back and see what we're bringing to the table along with the other person. Because in a marriage, it's not one-sided. It's not, only what Zakia has or only what this person has. But it's what we're both bringing to the table, and that's what makes it so beautiful. That's what makes it a whole, a complete thing. We have to come both whole to it. We can't come half. And so if you're only giving half, but you want this other person to come whole, that doesn't match. That still is going to be not working right. And, we are still growing. Yes, when you get married, you're still learning each other. You're still finding out. But the whole process is that we're supposed to come as whole as we can be when we are becoming married, or once we decide to be together. We have to try to be as whole as we can be, as much as we know. But if you know for sure that you're not whole and you want someone else to be whole, but you only have, that doesn't make any sense at all. Like, baby boy, baby girl, you gotta rewind, and you gotta bring something more to the table if you're expecting this from someone else, which you should. Y'all should both expect to be whole. You should both expect to be the best you, so that when you come together, it's the best thing, and you're growing together still. You're still learning new things together. It becomes a us thing. It's not just separate. It becomes us. But in order for us to happen, in order for us to grow together, we have to know ourselves first, and we have to know what we're bringing to the table and what we want for our significant other, and what we are willing to sacrifice and what we're willing not to sacrifice.
All right, before we continue with our conversation, make sure to follow me on my personal social media accounts to stay updated on what I am doing. You can follow me on Instagram at _KiaZ, _KIAAAZ. You can follow me on Facebook at Kia Brewer. You can follow me on Snapchat at FabulousKia_4 and on TikTok at Zakia Brewer. Okay, so where did we leave off at?
And those are conversations that you have to have. And even sometimes it comes to where you might be dating a person and you start to have those tough conversations of what are we willing to lay down? What are we willing to keep in the past of what we wanted in our MASH game and what is reality? We can't be living just off of a list. We can't just be living off of the MASH game. We have to live in reality of what's really going on in our life right now and what stage we are in order for us to know what we want and what's going to happen with whoever we date or whoever we decide to be with. And so that's kind of the sum of my episode. It may not be like super long as my other ones or anything like that, but I feel like this is a conversation that we should all have and a conversation that is need to be said, because as I sit and listen to different conversations and as I sit and talk to different people, I realize that sometimes we're just kind of living in our old self and we're holding so tight onto that list that we're not willing to tear it up a little bit and be free and let God maneuver what is going to happen and where we're supposed to be and who we are supposed to be with, you know? So my message is like, just don't hold on to that list so tight. Don't hold on to that MASH game so tight. Let it go. And what you asked for might not be what you got, but are you okay with that? And if you're not, then maybe you got to talk to yourself about it. Maybe you got to change up some stuff. Or maybe it's just what you're not going to have, and that's okay. And then for others, what you asked for and what you got, it might be better than what you asked for. It might just be better. It might not look better, but it might be better. Just like the memes, you know? What you asked for is this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful cake. However, what you got looks like a kid made it, but once you eat it, you realize the cake was way better than what you even asked for. So you got to be willing to not just look at the outside of things. Don't just look at the surface of things, but go in depth. Figure it out. Learn who you are, and then figure out what you are willing to sacrifice, what you're willing to not sacrifice, what you're willing to lay down on the table for this other person. And knowing that sometimes what we wanted is not going to be the same thing as we want now. And that you have to be okay with changing that up. And if you're not okay, then hey, that's who you are. But I just want you to look not just on the outside, not on the surface of a person. So guys, don't just look at the outside of a girl. And girls, don't look at the outside of a boy or whatever you like, whoever you like. Don't look at just the outside of that person, but look at their heart. Look at who they are in the inside, not who they are on the outside. Just simple as that, just as a cake, you know? It may look messy on the outside, but it's good in the inside, you know? So that's where I'm going to leave it at, you know? I'm going to leave it right there. And I do have a question of the week that I want to ask you guys, because I think that I want to know, like, what are some things that we had on our list when we were younger, or, you know, whatever, in our younger days, 5 years ago, 2 years ago. But what is something that's on your list that you realize that you are now okay with, that you were willing to sacrifice, or that you were willing to lay down, or, you know, what you're okay with not having now? So the question is, what is something you wanted in your significant other and your partner while you were young on your list that you are okay with not having now? And so please, please, please respond. I want to hear what y'all got to say. I want to know, like, okay, he ain't had this type of job, but I'm okay, because guess what? You know, he got a little job now, whatever the case is. Or he don't have a car, a new car, but he has a car, so I'm fine with that. Or, whatever the case is, I want to know what you are okay with them now that was something different on your list. So make sure you follow me on my social media so that you can see that question, respond. Make sure to tell your cousins, your aunties, your uncles, your grandma, your uncle, your granddad, your best friend, your mama, your daddy. Let everybody know to come here to Zakia Chanel Podcast, because here we have enough conversations that we might not have in any other place. So that is all for this episode. I will see you all on the next episode, and love you guys. Stay blessed.
Hey, don't leave me hanging. Before you leave, make sure to subscribe to Zakia Chanel Podcast. You can listen to my podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Buzzsprout, Google Podcasts, and SoundCloud. Or go over to Zakia Chanel TV on YouTube to listen and watch the podcast. Looking for someone to host your event, or want to learn how to start your own podcast, or need organizing tips? I'm your girl. Contact me via email. Remember, it starts with you. Be blessed and take care of yourself.